Hey there, geeks! Adam coming at you with another Wizards Hall video. So it's well documented. We have quite an archive of Wizard magazines in our collection, especially from the 90s. Now, one of the things, though, is when we were buying those issues in the early days of the podcast, we just needed reader copies. We weren't looking for the highest quality. And so this time around, I have something that is kind of interesting because we have generally gotten newsstand editions when we have had anything, and we now have some subscription copies of certain issues of Wizard Magazine from the 90s that had some bits of history that really intrigued me. So, first off, we have issue number 26 here, okay? We've covered this in the past. But if you look on the back, I'm trying not to dox our guy here, but we do have an address label. So I was trying to figure out, like, what is different, a subscription copy in a polybag versus the newsstand polybag? Well, we did get the standard cards, okay? So it is interesting. These came with, they were not sealed, the polybag. They were open, but the cards were kept in there. They actually have protective plastic sleeves that the previous owner put on there. So it's interesting to see somebody keeping their eye on, what was going to be a collectible someday and keep it in there with it. But what was getting my attention was the inserts, which generally were not coming in the newsstand editions. Now, in this one here, they're talking about these pro-grade line of Wizard, basically, comic. We're talking about protective things for the cards. This is protective items for your comics, right? So your bags of boards, dividers, turtle shells, 3-ring binders, pages, and things like that. But also on the other side, they had a "Are you moving?" type thing where they're trying to say, if you're going to move, please fill this out, give us your new address, and we can continue sending you your subscription. But what's interesting here, Garib Sheamus Enterprises was the idea here that they were saying, that is the company, the parent company, I guess. Like, I don't remember Garib Sheamus Enterprises ever being listed in the indices, but I'm gonna have to go back and check that out, because of course eventually they became Wizard Entertainment Group and many other things. So that was just an interesting piece. Now, we also have a Wizard issue 27 with this awesome Jim Lee Wildcats cover. So this one here, another interesting container. This isn't just a plastic sleeve. This is a rookie card. So obviously for some sports cards here. But we have a Wild Star card. Now let's see here, because this is another situation of, we have the moving slip. But is it going to tell us about Pro Guard or something else? Yeah, so this is Pro Guard again. But I also didn't notice this before. Second class? And third class. Second class and third class enclosed. So that must have been something with the post office that Wizard had to indicate. I'd love to know, is the second class magazines, is third class the cards, or I don't know, or a subscription item falls under those categories at that time? That's kind of interesting. Okay, so again, these are just pieces of Wizard history that we're trying to gather that we did not have documented previously. Now, I talked about not having great copies of some of the issues. Our copy of Wizard number 28, which is one of my favorites, like I read and reread this issue a lot as a kid, it has like a line through it, like it got cut, like it was at the top of a box of these and it got, I don't know what happened. So I'm glad to have like an actual nice copy of this. But inside, we'll check out our cards here. We have The Madman by Mike Allred, and we have a Brigade card here. Now here, once again, okay, so this is the standard moving card there, so that's fine. What was interesting about this was, issue 30 with Beavis and Butthead on the cover, of course. This came with like 3 different cards, and none of them were included with this sealed copy. So I don't know if they were just lost, or maybe the previous owner was trading with some friends, but it does have a unique insert card here. So we still have the moving side here, but then look at this. It says, give the gift of Wizard this holiday season. So now the subscription here is interesting. They don't actually put a price on there. There's not like saying, oh, it's only $20 a year. It just says, I've put this card in an envelope and I'm paying by check and money order, and I'm paying by Visa or MasterCard. You could do that. But yeah, you know what? It's in very, very tiny print down here. That's why I couldn't see it. So 4 to 6 weeks for delivery of first issue. Subscription price is $24.95 in the United States. Mexican subscriptions, please add $18 a year for shipping. Canadian subscriptions add $18 plus 7% GST, and then all other foreign subscriptions, $70. So that's what we were looking at for subscriptions back in the day from Wizard. Got a pretty good deal if you were in the United States, but foreign, that was going to cost you. Still, might have been worth the entertainment and the news if you couldn't get it any other way. All right, we do have one more issue here. This is Wizard issue 31. We have the Legend characters here, which is very exciting. We're actually talking about Hellboy on our Super Cinema podcast, our Patreon exclusive comic book movie podcast this month. So that is of interest to us. It does have the cards, again, with more sturdy, heavy-duty card protectors. We got Spawn, we got Bone there. I should say we have all these cards already in our collection, but it's still fun to have. All right, but again, a unique card here. What was Wizard promoting to their subscribers? What did they want them to be aware of? Well, first off, this is just kind of cool. Look at that. This feels like something you take to a convention to get signed. You know, you just have an open space here. Meet Gareb Shamus, have him sign it in a silver pen or something. But yeah, this is mostly the same thing, but it's telling you a special offer on the reverse. What's that? Well, the Dark Book and the Valiant era, two special issues that Wizard released in the mid-90s, which we have covered on the podcast here. So now the Dark Book they were calling a Collector's Library Edition. Let's see if it gives us any additional information. Where would the heroes of today be without villains? What is Batman without Bane? Spider-Man without Carnage? Howard the Duck without Dr. Bong? One of the few issues of Howard the Duck that I have in my collection is a Dr. Bong issue. But the Dark Book will shine the light into the darkest regions of comicdom and expose the worst villains to ever have plagued our fair cities. And as a subscriber, you're entitled to get it shipped straight to your home! Wizard's Collector's Library Edition series starts here. I believe it started and ended with the Dark Book. And then it does say it starts shipping February 21st. Now, the Valiant Edition, okay, the Valiant era was another thing. They call it a Wizard Special Edition, which is what most of their special issues were. When Magnus Robot Fighter #1 hit the stands in March of 1991, few people even noticed Valiant existed. Were you one of them? Times have changed since then. Valiant has had an impact upon the comic book world that few people would ever have guessed. Have the latest of Wizard's Special Edition shipped straight to your home! And join us as we find out what made this company so great and what's in store for their future. Each issue of the Valiant era also comes with a free original Valiant comic. So yes, it did have that insert there. So each of them were just $6. So, and then I guess that's a pretty good deal. Obviously a little increase if you're buying, it's $7 for Canada, $8 for any additional foreign issues. But still, I guess that is a special price is what you're getting it for, because it's saying the offer expires May 1st. So I assume that's what they're trying to tell you. Okay, you get at $6 an issue instead of maybe more that they were charging at the time. I don't know. But again, these bits of history. Ooh, I should say on the other side, you get to see this Wizard seal. The seal was often like, well, not often, but a few times used as like a holographic sticker on some of their special editions. In fact, I think it's on the cover of the Dark Book at the very least. So that's interesting. Last thing here, we also got the Wizard 29, as it says here, their 300-page year-ender. They didn't do too many of the 300-page ones. I think that ended up being too much work. Now, it did come in a poly bag, so I didn't get anything. There's like, a Max versus Pit poster inside and all of that. But it did have this insert, this little card here, which, again, these little bits mostly get thrown away. So the fact that it was preserved in there is nice. And it just says, Dear Mom and Dad, the toy fire engine doesn't cut it anymore, and I'm tired of getting socks from Grandma every year. I want Wizard, the Guide to Comics! And not just one issue, but send this card in, and I'll get every issue straight off the presses for 12 months for only $24.95. To buy me all 12 from the newsstand would cost $49.40. So again, gives you a little perspective there on how much you were saving. Really, half price to get a subscription to Wizard versus just buying it every month, and that's what I was doing. I should have gotten a subscription. I think I did for 1 year, but mostly I was just going to the newsstand and buying it there. So I was not very frugal, I guess. I wasn't worried about that. Now, what's interesting here, wow, I didn't notice this either. This actually has an address printed on it. So it looks, and it's not the same as the name that was on these files. So this must have been something else. That's interesting. Okay. So the strip of address that was on there, the strip of address, I don't know what to call it, the address label, I guess. But yeah, but so interesting that it's either pre-filled out or the person typed it on a typewriter, intended to send it in for the subscription. Mom and Dad said no that Christmas. $24.95 is too much for that stupid magazine that teaches you how to say bad words. But yeah, also, this was being processed, not in Congers, New York, but their subscription department was at Red Schoolhouse Road in Spring Valley, New York. I wonder how close that was to Congers and why that. But either way, lots of interesting bits of Wizard history here. Thanks for checking out this video. This is the nitty-gritty that we get into on Wizards, the podcast guide to comics, when it's available. But most of all, we are there to share our memories, share our thoughts, discover things that we missed. So if you're not checking out on a regular basis our main podcast, Wizards, the podcast guide to comics, get on over there, wizardscomics.com. You can stream over 350 episodes or just find us on your favorite podcast app. Subscribe. Hey, leave us a review if you're already listening. But stay subscribed here on YouTube as well. We have more videos to come. And until next time, keep your books bagged and boarded.